Hey everyone, Tony Ivanov here, lead founder and trader of TradeBuddy, and yesterday and today we've had some amazing momentum. IMTE ran from $2 up to $41. I first alerted it in my chat room at 460. Of course, unfortunately, you never know which one's going to be that big supernova run that's going to really change the tide of the momentum in the market. If you've been around in the market for the past 2-3 weeks, it's been very slow and choppy. So many false breakouts, not that much volume, not that much follow through, and traders were getting, pent up. They were getting anxious for that next big runner to really shift the momentum, and we got that yesterday. We had IMTE, like I said, goes from $2, hits a high of $41, and now that has really just exploded the fuse and just made so much volatility and momentum in the market. So we've had NVIV, CHFS, CREG, VVPR, SEII, BOXL. The list goes on. There's so many big runners. It just seems like it's never gonna end, but it's going to end. It's gonna slow down. But the most important thing is that right now, while it's here, we take advantage of the opportunity as best as we can. So that's what I'm gonna talk about in this video today. I personally made $617.84 today. May seem like a lot, but I left a lot on the table. If I followed all of my rules and my plans that I had to trade, I would have made, honestly, over $10,000. So, of course, I'm not upset because green is great. I love to see this momentum back in the market, and I love to see my students, you guys, banking big as well. So we're going to break down every single runner. We're going to break down exactly how to play them the best way and go from there. So I hope you guys enjoy this trading lesson. Alright guys, we're going to go over today's and yesterday's trades and biggest plays and break them down exactly how to play them and why they ran. So here is IMTE. As I said in the intro, IMTE went from open up at around 233, hit a high of just around $41.37. Amazing parabolic mover. And I first alerted this all the way down here on this first breakout over 460. Of course, I didn't get in because this ran happened at around 10:47 market time, and I was already taking trades in the morning. We've been seeing this shift of all these morning runners. There's so many of them that they all keep getting stuffed at major resistance levels, and because of how I was trading in the past about buying breakouts, buying into strength and selling into strength, I kept catching a lot of false breakouts and having to cut my losses very fast. And after a bunch of those, it really burned my account. And by the time that I was looking at IMTE, my confidence was just so down because I was like, okay, here's another stock, but it's probably going to get stuffed again, so I'm not really too interested in trading it. At this point, I think I was only down like $350. Well, not only, but the one good thing I was doing was I was trading with a lot smaller size than usual because I knew I wasn't trading on my A game, and I knew that I was still searching for the right pattern to play in this current market environment. So I was keeping it on small size, and IMTE called it out in my chat room, and it just kept squeezing higher and higher. Once it got halted up near 850, it dropped, and I was like, okay, there's a momentum being gone, back to reality, and I stopped watching it foolishly. It just held resistance or held support at $6 very well, so there's a first major level of support, just over 460, bounces off that level twice, so that would have been a very good dip buy. Once you see a bounce here twice, and then the last test here, you see a bounce here again, you could buy around 620 with a 20-cent risk, aiming for a breakover high day of 850. That's a great risk reward. Risking 20 cents to make $2.50 per share, that's an awesome trade. So you can see, holds that dip, squeezes on up, gets that volume, gets that perk, breaks through $8, causes all the people who were using this level as the risk, who were short, to cover. And you can see once we broke over that level of $8, we got some massive volume and it squeezed through the high of day of 850. Now everyone who is short today is completely underwater, so that's the start of a short squeeze. And one thing to note about today's price action is that, well, the recent price action yesterday and today is that it's happening on stocks with very low floats. IMTE was listed to have a 266,000 share float and big spreads. And the reason for this is because once you get that buying volume, once you get that buying frenzy, people who just have that FOMO, who are anxious to make money, because like I said, the past 3 weeks, it's just been such a slow market. All the traders who are long, they got anxious, they got emotional. So once they saw this running, they're like, okay, we're jumping in, we're gonna run, we're gonna chase it, and we're gonna make some profits. And thankfully for the longs, they were right this time. But for the past 3 weeks, we were all wrong, and the shorts were crushing us. So breaks out through 850 and just keeps squeezing higher and higher and higher. And then at this time, once it broke over 850, I stepped away from the office. I'm not sure why I stepped away once there was obviously a very strong mover, but you know, I stepped away and then I came back and it was up near $20. And by that time, I didn't really want to trade it. I did scalp over some high day breakouts using very small size, being very safe. But you can see there's just some pretty obvious buying points here. Buying the dip, selling the rip. You can see here's that 850 breakout. The first time it did fail it, so you would have had to cut that loss. However, it did recover, it bounced off it again. So you could have jumped back in there with a risk of 850 once again and just rode this on the way up. It broke over a high of day, made higher lows, and just kept squeezing higher and higher. Once it hit that natural resistance of $15, made a very nice flat top of wedge. You could buy into those lows around $13, $14 and sell into that rip. It's just some awesome momentum. And you can see, of course, at this point, it was just a massive short squeeze and a massive chase play too. Everyone was chasing this. All the shorts were getting squeezed. So it just goes parabolic. Goes from 15 to high of $41. And then ultimately comes back on down on many halts. And then it goes in pre-market and it does a morning spike. So one thing I want to note about pre-market spikes is that you need to count them as morning spikes. So if you have a pre-market spike, you shouldn't really expect a morning spike to happen. Now, of course, this time it did happen because we did kind of this cup and handle here. Let me just illustrate this. In pre-market, it did break out and go and went $1 higher. But then we had this massive pullback, bounced kind of off of this $30 level, which is a nice psychological number, squeezed back up, found resistance once again, so then it was an obvious short at that point. Now it just has to hold $30. It's gaining some volume in after hours, but I'm not sure if it's going to get volume tomorrow. It will likely be a short. Look for that area to crack under $30 if you want to short it. But the good thing with IMTE is that it caused a lot of other runs. BOXL also ran yesterday, same exact setup, very low float, huge spreads. Once again, I alerted BOXL in my chat room over 543, and this time I didn't trust my plan because I wasn't confident in my trading at this point. I didn't trust my plan. So the main thing I did wrong is I was getting way too emotional. And this happens to a lot of traders where they don't want to get into a play until they know it's going to work. But you're never going to know if a trade is going to work. That's the whole basis behind trading. It's uncertain. So if you try to wait until you see that confirmation, it's already too late. The stock is gone up 10-20% without you. And if you buy at that point, you're chasing. You're not buying on that support level. So you kind of just have to take that risk. That's why it's called risky business. You know, trading is risky business. So you have to just, once you approach that support level, take that trade, have a set risk, have a set profit level. If it works out, great, you made money. If it doesn't, take that loss. Losses are a normal part of trading. And one thing that I did personally over these past 2 days is that I did a lot of studying. I went back and I listened to my favorite audiobook, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. And one thing that really stuck with me that he said in that book is that you have to treat trading like you're operating a casino. Now, if you're a casino owner, you're making profits off of a random chance game. The way you do that is by having an edge. And if you're a casino operator, you don't care about what the next hand of blackjack's gonna do. You don't care if that one's a winner or if that one's a loser, because the only thing you care about is that once you have a large enough sample size over a year, you will make 4.5% of all the money that comes into that blackjack game. So for example, if over 1 year that casino does $100 million worth of blackjack games, they will make $4.5 million. You have to think of trading the same way. You're never going to know which plays are going to be winners or losers. But if you have a specific edge against the market and you have a rigid set of rules, then over time, if your pattern is right and your edge is correct, you will be profitable. So you have to just be willing to take that risk, buy into that stock, buy on that support level, and take that risk and see if it's going to be a winner or loser. You never know the order of your wins and losses, but you do know that, say, within 20 trades, 12 of them are winners and 8 are losers. You don't know which order it's going to be, but you do know that over a longer time, with a specific sample size, that you will be profitable over the others. And if you combine that with a profitable risk-reward ratio, then you should be all set and consistently profitable. So I've really just dug down into that mindset, and now going into today, my plans for today was solely just to look for those obvious dip buys and sell into the strength. So one trade I did today, let's see, what were the trades for today? We had so many movers. VVPR was a great one, CLWT. So let me just bring up some of these charts and just break down these using simple trend lines. No moving averages, no VWAP, no nothing. So this was getting some nice action in the morning. It was very low volume though. All by this point, I believe by noon, it had probably 400,000 shares traded, just about. But look at this. So whenever you see a peak, just draw a horizontal trend line. You can see this broke out, it dipped below it, made a higher low, spiked up again. On this dip, it dipped down to that same previous resistance, so that previous resistance becomes support. So that would be a great dip buy level, selling into the move on higher. We break out of this range and go higher, squeeze up, holds above that risk level the whole time. So you could say that even on this play, you could say the support is at 350, so you buy into those dips near 360, 355 using proper risk management. Buying into that dip, selling, taking partial profits on the breakover high of day and holding the rest for a higher move, taking profits on the way up. Next time, on the breakout over the 417 level, breaks out, comes back down, bounces perfectly off that level. And here's where I wanted to buy. Here's where I was like, okay, I found my perfect pattern, and I wanted to get into this, but the problem that I had, once again, was that I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. And because I'm not used to dip buying, I was kind of scared. And then it spikes up without me. I didn't want to chase it, and then it goes from $4 up to $8.50. So that was a huge move, and it's all based on the simple, well, there's two patterns in here. One pattern I've already been teaching. We're just kind of modifying when we're getting in. So this is a gradual descending wedge. Usually we would have got in on the break of this wedge up around the $4.50 level, but you can take it one step even deeper and buy into that dip, buy on that the 20 to 25 cent level, and get that just small extra margin, which will really help you if you do have to cut that loss. Because if you buy at 450, you're risking 50 cents per share, and that's a very big loss if you're trading with 1,000, 2,000 shares. If you buy into the 420s, 430s, you're risking 10 cents a share, and that's a lot more manageable. So just look for these high of day breakout, previous resistance become support dips, because they happen over and over again. Here is an example on CLWT. Let's look at VVPR. VVPR had the same exact thing happen. You can see, I believe this was chart support 339. Let me see. 339. No, it wasn't chart support. I believe that was just the halt level that I drew. Book over the halt level. You can see if we zoom past into this perfect dip at that 339 level, you could have bought that dip, sold into the spike of almost 45% if you got the very top, very bottom. I'm not saying that you would get the very top. However, have a structured way to take your profits on the way up, and you should be set to go. There was MKGI was also another crazy one. Now this one was a bit choppier. It was getting halted a bunch. The one thing I noticed with this morning, like prior to 11 o'clock, is that everything that was spiking was getting halted, and that was making me kind of nervous because with so many halts, people are gonna be not so anxious to trade because we've been seeing that these halts keep going red after the halt. You see this one went red. This one went red. Of course, they recovered afterwards, but you never know if that's going to happen. So here on MKGI, I did try to buy this one. The plan I did on this one was to buy on the squeeze over the high of day after the halt because IMTE did the same thing yesterday in the very beginning. So I was being kind of overzealous on that MKGI trade, and I was saying this looks like IMTE. It could probably be the next IMTE. You can see on this halt yesterday on IMTE, it got halted at 850, dropped down, and hit $6. So MKGI reminded me of this one because after the first halt, I should say, it dropped, and then it squeezed on up and got halted again. So I got in on this break at 330, just 1,000 shares. And then, what do you know? It tanks at the open of the halt again. I got out, break even, squeezes up right afterwards and goes to a high of 490. So I could have made another like 1,000 bucks there if I held through that halt. But what do you know? And then where was that one? Was it CLWT? Yeah, CLWT is the one I'm talking about. Oh no, this one I just talked about. Was it VVPR? No, there was another one that did the same exact thing with the dipping down. Oh, CREG. Sorry. CREG was a late day runner, but you can see this is the same exact type of pattern. This was a low flow with big spreads. Now, all morning and afternoon, or all morning prior to noon, it was dead volume. There was nothing. And then it wakes up, gets some small volume here. You can see makes an initial top at 164. I believe that was chart resistance, or no, 184. No, never mind, 164. There's chart resistance at 184. So makes a top at 164, dips back down, breaks through that top, goes a bit higher, and you can see when it comes back down, it holds that previous resistance. So previous resistance becomes new support. Buy on that dip, risking off of that support level. Of course, in here, it would have been very hard to load up large size because it was very illiquid, but you could have picked up a few hundred shares here, anticipating a move on up over 175, just because this fit the same pattern as IMTE, BOXL, IPDN, VVPR, CLWT, the list goes on. So just because it's the same type of stock, you can expect that it could potentially get the same type of move. So this squeezes on higher. It starts tapping against 184 resistance, which was chart history. That was the high on April 10th. Breaks through that resistance, squeezes on up higher, and then hits resistance at 206, which was also chart history. Dips down, dips higher than that previous risk level, so you could have bought into that dip, risking like around 7 cents per share, and then taking profits on the way up. You can see after this dip, it dipped back down to 206, and here once again I wanted to buy, but once again I didn't follow my plan and I let it run without me. And now after hours, it's squeezing up from 206, hit a high of 285. So that would have been an awesome win. But you know, even though I didn't profit on those ones, I still left the day today with $617.84. So you know, I'm happy. And not only that, I have learned a lot in my knowledge account. You know what I mean? Um, I'm really starting to see exactly how these charts develop over time, and I'm ready to come back into the market tomorrow and hopefully plan some nice trades like this where you get that nice bounce off of previous support. And if I do see one tomorrow, I will likely load up a bit more because they have been working. And even if that one trade that I try doesn't work, I will keep trying it over and over again because more often than not, it is profitable and it has a very good risk reward strategy or ratio, and it's really just following the pattern of all these low float stocks. So one thing I want to mention is that tomorrow is Friday, usually the hardest trading day of the week. I know for sure the past 2-3 weeks have been very tough Fridays. However, now that we have this new renowned volatility and volume and momentum in the stock market, we should probably see some very nice runners tomorrow. So one thing I really want to focus and stress on is that don't try to trade so much in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. Let these charts develop. Let them make their high day resistance levels and dip that, and let them dip back down to those support levels so you can jump in on them. I wouldn't recommend getting into anything at the market open just because it is a bit choppier. So just remember that the market is open all day, and recently we've been seeing a lot of afternoon runners, a lot of midday and end of day runners. So focus on that and work from there. Now, if you stuck to this whole video, I'm assuming that you enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, leave a subscription, leave a comment down below if you have any questions. And if you want to learn more about day trading, I do have a lifetime mentorship program. The first link down below will take you right to it. You get lifetime access to my Penny Stock Mastery course, lifetime access to my Trade Buddy Platinum live streams where you can watch me trade live every single day, Monday to Friday, and lifetime access to my Trade Buddy community chat room. So all amazing, amazing value. No one else offers lifetime access for anything that they offer, so highly recommend you check it out. There's also a 7-day free trial to my chat room and live stream. Links are down below. And also check out my free ebook of how to day trade every morning. It'll break down the chart patterns you need, what type of catalysts you need, and what type of criteria you need to scan for to find these stocks that are spiking up so much. Once again, thank you all so much. Hope to see you guys in the chat room tomorrow morning.